Good morning, it's 6 a.m. from the Franklin, Kentucky rest area, and this shows you why Tennessee, or how Tennessee doesn't let you sleep in your car overnight. This place is completely full almost. Anyway, everyone's sleeping. I just woke up, I gotta pee. Anyway, it's cold. Oh, it's cold. So I'm heading up into Indiana for lunch, so I'm gonna go take a shower in a little bit and kind of mosey on up, go visit Tim, and then head on to barbecue lunch with my college friend. I gotta use the restroom. Okay, let's go do that. But yeah, everybody's sleeping, couple van lifers. Everyone's idling their engines. I think they're cold, but I've got a nice warm blanket for me. This is a really awesome visitor center. There's vending machines. Those ones are empty, I think. But anyway, there's more vending machines there in the Kentucky Derby. I just had a video on that. Please wash your hands. And I've not really spent a lot of time in Kentucky. I went to college in Indiana, so I came down to Bowling Green and Louisville with my college friends, my roommate. But yeah, so they've got all these really good flyers. I've picked up a couple things if I want to know the Amish-owned businesses in Hart County. But yeah, they've got all this stuff. And quilting is very big here too. Got some friends in Paducah and some other places. But yeah, this is Franklin, Kentucky. That's where I'm at right now. Big old fork. I don't know where that is. But yeah, this is great. And sometimes, well, there's no chair. I don't think anyone sits here. But yeah, you can come in and just pick up whatever you want. There's bluegrass music, a lot of caves, tons of caves. Mammoth Cave, which if I had time, I'd go up to Mammoth Cave. Which I might do, I don't know. I don't think I have time tomorrow. I could do it on the way back. I could just go stop at Mammoth Cave. The tours are about 2 hours. It might be out of the way though. I don't think I'm going that far north. I think I'm heading east. But yeah, there's Louisville, all this stuff. So yeah, American Pocket Knife Museum. Great. I don't even know why I would be looking at that. Anyway, so that's it. So yeah, okay, so I'm gonna have some breakfast and then head on to Planet Fitness in Bowling Green. So I'm only about 30 minutes from Bowling Green right now, but this is a fantastic rest area. I'm gonna try to get to the Arkansas rest area tomorrow when I leave. I'm old school, but this map is a little bit of an eye test. Okay, so I'm here. I'm there. I'm gonna go up to Bowling Green, and then I'm gonna head up to 65. I'm gonna head up here. So I'm just gonna go Bowling Green probably through Elizabethtown, up through Louisville. That's right. Yeah. So I'm gonna go through Louisville, which is here, and then up 65 south or 65 north to Franklin. So yeah, so not too far. I'm going through like the short bit of Kentucky. The rest of it's a little bigger. But then Mammoth Cave is not far. It's right by, there it is. Mammoth Cave is right by Bowling Green. So maybe on the way back, if I have time tomorrow, I have a 10 a.m. VA appointment in Indianapolis, but when I come back, maybe I'll stop in Mammoth Cave for a little bit, and then yeah, just kind of do that for something to do, which I've done before. Like, this will be my third time going to Mammoth Cave National Park, and then just drive all day tomorrow. So yeah, okay, I think that's what I'll probably do. I'll see what time I leave Indianapolis. So it's still 3 hours from here to Franklin, Indiana. It's 3 hours, which isn't actually that far. So, okay, it'll be a nice drive today. So let me get going to the Planet Fitness, and I'll see you guys a bit later. So that's a 125 wheelbase Sprinter. That's the biggest one you can get. It's like a frickin' bus. It's a bit big for me. Anyway, okay, so let's get going. Beautiful day ahead. It looks cloudy on the phone, but it's really not. It's clearing up. It's cold though. It's 50 degrees. Yeah, all these people just right over the state line, which is like 20 feet back from the rest area, and you're far away from the trucks as well. But all those people are like, yeah, we can't sleep in our cars in Tennessee. I mean, I just don't understand. Like, it's America. It takes days to drive across. Why would you not let somebody sleep in their vehicle? Nobody's bothering anybody. Nobody's like, you know, degenerate or camping or, you know, like making a mess or anything. We just don't want to die on the road by falling asleep and crashing into everybody. I mean, truck drivers are required to sleep. So anyway, okay, so I've got 25-minute drive into Bowling Green, And that's where my old college roommate used to live. I think she still lives there. But her dad owned a bunch of cheese and wine shops. And so they have the Corvette Museum. I wish I had more time. If I had an entire day like I had with Hot Springs, Arkansas, I would do more things around Kentucky. I've only really been to like Mammoth Cave, and that's about it. I really haven't done a lot more, really anything else in Kentucky. I certainly haven't gone mountain biking or hiking, you know, the way that I want to. But I've been to Kentucky a bunch of times, like to see friends and just driving through. But yeah, I've never been to the Corvette Museum, and I've never been to some of the other stuff, all the caves that they have. I love caves. And now that I've been to all the national parks, I'm trying to look for the local stuff now. So I got a bunch of flyers. I don't think I'll have any time Monday. I really do need to get back to Houston, and it's a 15-hour drive. But I'm glad that since I'm in Tennessee, might as well pop up to Indiana, you know, just up the road. I have friends that are like, oh, it's so far. Like, I've never been to, you know, like people that live in Phoenix are like, I've never been to Las Vegas. I'm like, it's a 3-hour drive. It's like just up the road, you know, for me, at least. So I'm going from Franklin, Tennessee to Franklin, Kentucky to Franklin, Indiana. All right, I've made it to Louisville. So there's Muhammad Ali Boulevard. We just went by JFK Boulevard. What else is Louisville known for? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, just your average Midwestern major city. So just a bunch of skyscrapers. Yeah, so I think one day I was like, man, I could do van life up here and then just drive back when I have to go back to Houston instead of having to fly, and just have both the car and the van up here. Leave the car somewhere like in Memphis or something. Yeah, I mean, I gotta figure out, like, I would love to have somewhere I can park and, you know, just kind of do van life here. I think it might be too hot in the summer though. Although it's 59 degrees, it's beautiful right now. But I'd love to kind of do the whole cave trail, you know, like go up from Tennessee through, you know, Tennessee through Kentucky up through to Indiana, and just kind of do like the tri-state, the Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio. Although I've been to like Hocking Hills, which is amazing. I love it. It's better than Cuyahoga Valley National Park, actually. But I'd love to do that kind of stuff. And then, you know, just spend like a couple weeks out here before it gets too hot. And I have a whole month before I have to go home at the end of May. But I definitely need to get the van out of Las Vegas. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that probably when I go back after Mother's Day. And then I have a whole month until June, and maybe move the van out here and start doing some stuff out here for the spring and the summer. That would be great. Am I going the right way? Yeah, I'm gonna go over a river. What river is this? I don't know what river this is. Oh, this is the Ohio River. All right, so I'm now in Indiana, and I'm heading toward Indianapolis. So let's go. I don't like it when I cross a river to get into a state, so I don't get to take a picture. But anyway, so that's one thing I don't have all 48 states in the lower 48. I've been to all of them in the van, and I don't have pictures for all the state signs. There's an Indiana sign, but you can't stop. That's not fair. They need to have a sign area in every state where you can take a picture. But anyway, so yeah, so I've got 72 miles before I get to Tim's little cemetery. So it's a Memorial weekend, you know. And then meeting my friend Colin, one of my best college friends. His dad was my professor. Meeting him for lunch. So we're going to go to a barbecue place. So he's been through a lot. Both my professor and my professor's wife passed away within a year of each other. They were in their 80s, and just the nicest, most wonderful people. My whole life, in terms of my career and my life choices and where I decided to go in my career and my travels, was completely influenced by Professor Bridges. He's the one that advocated for me to go to college. He's the one that got me the scholarships and the financial aid, and edited all my articles when I was a travel writer, and then told me his own travel stories. It was great. And yeah, it's always fun going back to college. I'm not really involved in the college in terms of like board of directors or fundraising or any of that stuff, but I do go back, and when I go back, it's like I never left. And I graduated 25 years ago, and still great friends with everybody. I'm kind of just the outlier. I was the out-of-state student, the one with the weird accent, and the one that's kind of, as they said on the Zoom call the other week when we had kind of our journalism school kind of reunion thing for fundraising, and they're like, yeah, so Jennie represents the extreme of what you can do with your degree. And I was like, shut up. It's like, and Jennie lives in a van. I'm like, you guys, yes. It's like, of course, why the hell am I going to pay rent anymore? You know, it's like, it blows my mind. Since September, so September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. 8 months I haven't paid rent. That's like over $20,000 in rent, utilities, parking, insurance, all of this stuff that I've not had to pay. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you make like 60 grand a year and you're paying a third of your paycheck just to have a roof over your head, I mean, that's 4 months of your life that you work and you don't get to see it, you know, and you're paying someone else's second mortgage. But, you know, unless you can monetize your house and do like Airbnb and stuff, that's great. But I didn't have the capacity to do that toward the end of living there, just because we had a different management company. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, let's keep going. And my rib is still hurting. I gotta get it checked out. I hope it's not something else or like a hernia again. I'm like, I'm done with hernias. Like, just fix the ones I have and don't give me any more pain. But anyway, okay, so this is construction zone. I gotta slow down a little bit here. Okay. All right, well, goodbye Louisville. That was quick. Now I'm in Indiana. And this is great. So yeah, 68 miles, another hour, and I'll be at the cemetery, and then I'll head up about 40 minutes to Franklin. All right, I'm here and visiting Tim, so I think I go up here. I've never been here in my car, and Tim's right up here. Such a pretty little place. You know, obviously I wish he was here, but there he is. There's Tim right there. There he is. Aw. There he is right there. All right, now I'm heading to Franklin, Indiana. So I went from Franklin, Tennessee to Franklin, Kentucky, where I stayed last night, to Franklin, Indiana. I don't think there's any other names of cities in this country. I think they're all just called Franklin. It's like a new thing. I woke up this morning and everything's Franklin. But no, really pretty out here. So when I came out to visit for college back in 1995, my senior year, they flew me out. Oh, this guy's going very fast. Slow down, dude. I'm in a tiny little car. Anyway, and last time I was here, this corn right here, it's Indiana. Corn. You don't really own it, but the corn was like taller than me. I have a picture of the van. I think it was almost as tall as the van or something. But anyway, so that was, I was here late in the year in 2023. Twice actually. May in a rental car, and then in the van later in the year. But anyway, so yeah, so one thing that, by the way, these country roads are fun to drive in this little car. They're super fun. They're like, woo, you're like going like this the whole time. But anyway, so yeah, I was flown out here to look at the college, and I just fell in love with it. And I didn't know people lived this way. I thought it looked like Little House on the Prairie, first of all. I was like, oh, this looks like America. But I didn't know that, like, until I went to college out here in Indiana, that people had big houses and room to play outside, like how I lived in England. I didn't have a big house in England, but I played outside all the time, and just had a really great upbringing in the UK, and then moved to Orange County, California, where it was just constant noise of cars, constant noise of the drone of the city. And like, we lived in some like crap apartment, just like there was no garden. We had a balcony, and I just, there were no seasons. It didn't feel like Christmas at Christmas. And I come out here in November of 1995, and we went to the Circle Center Mall downtown. They had the Christmas lights up. I went to a couple classes. We had a couple students had been flown out. Only one of them ended up going to the school with me. But yeah, I mean, I just, I was really, hang on, let's slow down here. There we go. And I was blown away at how beautiful this was. And I thought, this is where I want to go to school. This is where I want to, get my education and like learn how to be a responsible adult. But I just loved it. I love going home with my friends. It was suitcase college, so a lot of people, went home on the weekends, because they're all from kind of the Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky area. And if I wasn't working that weekend, because I worked all the time because I was paying for school, but I'd go home with them, on Thanksgiving. Went to Bowling Green, Kentucky with my roommate freshman year. Then I went home with my other friends, went to Seymour, and we'd moon the freeway and do Seymour butts. Anyway, we were kids, we were college kids, and I didn't drink or anything, so I'm like, I gotta find my own way to be stupid, not inebriated stupid. But I loved it, and I still, every time I come out here, this feels like, in the weirdest way, this feels like home. And when I showed one of my friends, he's an older guy, a friend of mine, and I showed him like this video that was on YouTube about my high school, which is Los Alamitos High School in California. And there was a song, I Love LA by Randy Newman, I think it was. And so they did this like video for one of the like retirements or something, and it just showed all these clips from of the high school over the last, couple decades. It was made, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I showed it to him. I said, hey, this is my high school. And it was like normal, like, hey, this is my high school. And he goes, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, you don't, like, that doesn't fit you. Like, you don't, there's no way you went to that school. And I'm like, well, here's my reunion pictures and here's my high school pictures. And he goes, no. He goes, there's no way. Like, you don't fit that. Like, you don't sound or look like you go to that school. I said, well, yes, I did go to the school. And it's kind of the same way in Indiana. Like when I say, oh, I went to college in Indiana, like it doesn't, nothing in me fits properly. Like, nothing in my personality or my, persona like fits anything that I do. Like my accent doesn't fit my nationality, which is American. My nationality doesn't match my cultural heritage, which is Ukrainian, Lithuanian, Russian, and Turkish, apparently, according to my DNA. I'm 18% Anatolian Turkish. I'm like, I didn't think I was that exotic. I just look like every Russian girl that you know. But yeah, and then my language doesn't fit my ancestry doesn't fit the languages I speak, which is English and Japanese. So it's like my accent doesn't fit anything. It doesn't make it, nothing makes any sense. And it's just funny that the same thing, like I went to college in Indiana and I absolutely loved it. I loved every day that I was at college. I went to school every single day for 4 years, never missed a day of class, and I love it. And it's just funny that I just, I'm the most odd one out if you just tally up all of the traits of my personality, but then I fit in because I love it, I embrace it. And I love being back. This to me feels like home. It feels like home in the most homely way, and it's so pretty in the spring. And the winter they have, snow, so we used to steal the trays from the cafeteria and go sledding between the two dorm buildings. That was the only hill that we had. Go down to Brown County to see the leaves change in the fall. I mean, it's just so beautiful. But anyway, now I'm driving. I've got a 43-minute drive, I gotta get gas too. 33 minutes. Yeah, so I just spent a little bit of time with Tim. So Tim was my boyfriend in Japan. He was Air Force and I was working in Japan for the Japanese government on a cultural exchange kind of thing. I was cultural ambassador. And he passed away in 2009, unexpectedly. And he was 39 years old. And he had an undiagnosed diabetes. We had no idea. So it was a hard blow. And still to this day, how I mourn and grieve for Tim is different than how I grieve for, some of my other school friends, co-workers, like people that I've known that have passed away. And how I grieve for Jeff is completely different. Jeff and Tim were the two, I'm gonna cry, two most important people in my life when it comes to guys. Jeff was my favorite member of the Jennie Timar Bearded Men Club. And Tim was just tall and huggable. And I love both of them. Both of them in very different ways. And I just always bawl my eyes out about losing Tim. It was such a shock, and I couldn't go to his funeral. I couldn't even get on the plane. I tried. I had a ticket. My friend took me to the airport, and I couldn't get on the plane. I just started crying my eyes out. I'm like, take me home. I can't do this. But the funeral was videotaped, and I got to see it. And then I went here a year later, and his parents picked me up from college, because we're only 40 minutes from my college. Picked me up from college like they were my parents, like picking me up from the first day of picking me up from school. And they were so cute, Janie and Dave, and they were waiting for me at the little visitor center, like the main office, and they were just adorable. And yeah, they picked me up and we drove down here to North Vernon to the cemetery. And the whole time we're driving, they're showing me these photo albums, and they're taking me to where Tim grew up as a little kid. I mean, I think he grew up in South Carolina, but his mom grew up, that's right, his mom grew up around here. So this is the family plot down here. And so then they moved to South Carolina. I think Dave was in the Air Force, so they moved around a lot. And so Tim would call me darling. He had the southern accent, and hey darling, and I was it's Jenny. And yeah, I mean, it was beautiful. And so, but yeah, I'm looking at these photo albums and I'm kind of like, you know, look at all these childhood pictures and stuff. And this was 2009. So when I met Tim, it was 2001. So I never we never had, you know, digital catalog of our stuff, right? We just had whatever photos we had. And yeah, I was kind of like thinking like, I'm just going to get to the cemetery and bawl my eyes out. I'm not good with death. I'm not good with funerals or cemeteries. It's not my thing. And so when we get to the cemetery, Janie and Dave kind of stood to the side and kind of let me walk over to the grave on my own. And, you know, I got over there and I just started laughing. And then they're nervously laughing because they're like, why is she laughing? And I'm like, you guys. And they're like, what? And I'm like, he was a medic in the Air Force. He was a combat medic. He was a germaphobe. I'm like, this guy, I'm like, he'd be so mad if he knew he was in the mud. I'm like, he's in the mud. He'd be so mad right now if he knew, like jokingly mad, if he knew he was in the mud. He'd be like, get me out of here. Get me some sanitizer. And we just laughed about it. And then we just sat and chatted about all the quirks and the funny stuff. And I'm like, that's what funerals should be. That's what, you know, that's what celebration of life should be. Is just remember just the nuttiness of somebody's weird personality. I'm like, he'd be so mad right now. And yeah, and we just had a good laugh about it. I mean, we cried as well. I was like, God, I miss him. You know, like I was not prepared to get that phone call when I was 30 years old. But, you know, every year on his birthday on April 14th, we have chocolate cake. I had a sore throat and I had busted my ribs, so I haven't had the chocolate cake yet, but I'm going to have a belated chocolate cake this weekend. And then in August 24th, the day he died, you know, we remember him. And so that's kind of our tradition, is we always have chocolate cake on those 2 days, because that was his favorite. And it's not chocolate fudge, and it's not like vanilla with chocolate. It's got to be just chocolate cake, chocolate ganache. And so my goal every year is to find the best slice of chocolate cake. So when Jeff and I it was August of 2022, and it was chocolate cake time. And I said, Jeff, we're in freaking like Dixon, Tennessee. We got to find a chocolate cake. So we drove over no, we were in Dixon. That's right. There was a little bakery, and they had one cake left, and it was a chocolate cake. But it was a whole cake. And I said, well, I just need a slice. And she goes, well, it's my last cake. I'll give you a discount if you can just buy the whole cake. And I said, fine, this is like $30. So I bought the whole cake, and it took me like 3 days to eat it. Jeff and I ate a lot of it, like in the next like couple days. I took some back for Harriet, for my daughter. But yeah, it was delicious. And Jeff said, this is the cake you need to get. And I was like, I will get this cake. And that's the great thing about Jeff and Tim and any of my, you know, my guy friends, is they're all cool with the fact that I have this village of, you know, I don't just have like a harem of guys in my life, right? But that Jeff and I were so respectful about who we did life with, because we did life with everybody else, you know, not everyone. I'm not the town bicycle. But no, like we did life with other people. And Jeff and I respected that, and that he was so willing to help me go find a cake and not get weird about it. We were never weird about who we were in relationships with. That's just how we were, and that's how it should be. You know, if you're a guy and you don't have any healthy female platonic friendships, I mean, granted, I'm madly in love with Jeff, but if you don't have any healthy platonic female friendships, and women, if you don't have any, like, your good guy wingman, like, it's a red flag. If your only friends that are girls are, like, you know, you're, like, if you're just angry at every girl you went out with and you don't have any healthy girl relationships or healthy guy relationships, it's an indicator of how that guy's gonna be treating me in a platonic way, right? Like, it's just, you know, there's a kind of that subculture of guys that just hate women because they've got a vendetta. They got to date every woman because they're just mad at the world, or some woman did them wrong, you know. But none of the guys I know are ever like that. I'm very selective in making sure, and like I vet them, making sure that, you know, they understand that Jeff is part of my life. He's still part of my life, and Tim was a significant part of my life. And there's no animosity, no jealousy that should be directed toward either of those people. Now, the person I have a child with, I won't go into that, but you know, it could be a better situation if there was an understanding of why these
guys are in my life. You know, they're part of who I am. And you know, but Jeff and I were very respectful about who we were in relationships with, and that we each had children with somebody else. And no, it was very good. And Tim and I was 21 when I met Tim. I was a kid, you know, and it just, I got to, you know, have 9 years on the earth, you know, with Tim. But I miss him too. I miss him a lot. And he just made Japan so great. Such a wonderful part of living on the other side of the planet. And we were 21 and he was 30. Yeah, I was 21 or 22 and he was 30. And we were kids on the other side of the planet. I spoke more Japanese than him because he was Air Force, so he didn't really need to speak Japanese. But like, you know, he'd get deployed down and he'd go down to like Thailand for some like Cobra Gold stuff, and go to Vietnam for like missing in action program, and some of these deployments. He did like multiple tours of Iraq and Afghanistan. And of course we were in Japan when 9/11 happened. So, you know, the base was on lockdown for quite a while. I couldn't even get to see him. You know, I couldn't get signed on to base. And then I remember I was on base when we were like, you know, we had a party one night and then they caught Saddam Hussein. Everyone's celebrating, you know, so there was like that kind of stuff. And I got to, you know, hang out on base and get like American stuff for the little kids that I would go teach English to in my village. And they would do taste testing of breakfast cereals and candies and different American foods. We'd have taco day. We do pigs in a blanket, which I called butani futon. You know, pig in a blanket. Buta is pig and futon is bed. We did all that stuff. And then like his mom came out to visit with his brother and his brother's fiance at the time, who ended up getting married, and they have 3 kids. And so Tim was the funkle. He was the fun uncle, and he loved it. He loved every single part of being in everybody's life. And the group of friends that we had at the Air Force Base with a dog pound, you know, and we go to like we do some we get the Davy Jones locker for the weekend, and we go, you know, have a get together out there with everybody, or we go bowling, or I go to the NCO club. You know, I got to kind of like hang out. And you know, he did ask me like, what do you think? And I'm like, no, like marriage is not for me, will never be for me. And I didn't want to be a dependent wife, and I didn't want to, you know, live on a military base. I had just got to Japan. I had a job in Japan for 4 years that I did. So, and I wanted to travel, but I would see Tim, like I would coordinate my travels with where he was. So I'd go see him in Thailand, or, you know, run into him in Vietnam. You know, it was great while he was doing his stuff. We were very, very flexible, and it was a really great time. And I think, you know, I think back, like, what if I made a different decision? But to be honest, I mean, I'm happy with the decisions I made, because I got to spend all this time with, you know, each of these people that I know. And then I have school friends that I've lost that have been instrumental in helping me through like my custody, or instrumental in being supportive. You know, I'm just really grateful. And, you know, I try to pay it forward. If I can't pay it forward back to them, then I try to do something to balance the universe in some other way, like with my nonprofit, or, you know, helping veterans, and just trying to make the world a better place, trying to be a good person, you know. And then someone cuts me off and I'm like, nice turn, single fuckface. You know, I'm like, screw you. No, I'm just kidding. I try not to. I'm not a road rager. As I'm going like 35 miles an hour on this road. But anyway, but yeah, it was a very significant time. And yeah, and like we were just kids, and we were trying to figure out and navigate Japan together, you know. And he ended up staying a little bit longer, and then I went to the army. And then yeah, he had already been in Japan, I think, for a year or 2 before I got there. But then he went to Travis Air Force Base, and I think he went to Robbins Air Force Base, and that was in Georgia. So I think that's where he had passed away. But it was a hard blow. My neighbors had knocked on the door and asked me if everything was okay, and I was like, this is the complete opposite of okay. This is not okay. I am not okay. At all. And I wasn't okay for a long time, you know. But then about 4 months, and I didn't go to the funeral. Then I went to work Monday morning, because they wouldn't let me have bereavement leave, because it's only for like married people. And I said, this is ridiculous. I've got 9 years of just amazing friendship with this person. You're not going to let me take 5 days off to like recuperate? And they said no. And so I was like, well, I'm done with this job. And I went to work Monday morning, put on my sunglasses, sat in my cubicle at this ad agency. We're the agency of record for Honda. And I just cried. I cried every day for like 2 months. I didn't do any work. I just sat there and just bawled my eyes out. I was so sad. And I had no other plan in life. I didn't know what else I was going to do. I was 30 years old. Didn't want to be in LA. I was in LA because I was like, I'm going to earn some money, save up my money, and then figure out where, you know, life's going to go. And then at the end of 2009, I went to dinner with a friend of mine, and he owned a different company in the movie industry and was like, why don't you come work for me? And I was like, I need to change everything. I need to get out of this apartment. I need to get out of this company. I need to buy a different car. I want to change everything in my life, and I need to purge my life of all the friends that didn't bother to like ask me how I was doing while I'm sitting in the office bawling my eyes out. And by no means is anyone obligated to like console anyone, but don't be an asshole about it. Like, if you're just not gonna, you know, don't like say, oh, we love you, Jenny, when you get something out of it. Or, you know, I pitch in for lunch, and then when I need to be like, you know, use your sleeve as a Kleenex, you just avoid me. I mean, come on. Sorry, you're lopsided right now because my phone holder is screwed up. But anyway, that said, I'm trying to adjust you here. The roads are also potholy because I'm heading toward Franklin. But anyway, I still got 23 miles. I don't know what town I'm in. What town is this? Is this Seymour or is this? I have no idea. I don't know. They all look the same now. They've all got the Dairy Queen, the McDonald's, the Dollar Tree, and the little town square. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, back to me. Yeah. So I didn't know what to do. So I changed everything. I changed my industry, changed my career, where I was living, every single thing. And it was the best decision I ever made. But it doesn't change the fact that, you know, people are gone. So, but whenever I'm in the area, meaning 2 states away, I'll come drive up here and go see Tim. And, you know, just kind of sit there for a bit and try not to cry and then get on with my day. So, and live for the legacy. Everything I do is for everybody that I've lost because they can't do it anymore. So, yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of my life that I did, I think he would definitely, where am I going? Oh, I think he would definitely have enjoyed coming along on the ride. I think he definitely would have. I want to go west. Why did I take a wrong turn? Nashville, Bloomington. I don't want to do that. I want to go. I think I got in the wrong lane there. Where is it taking me? I think it's taking me. This is the way it wants to take me. Sorry. This was designed by a man. That's what my coach would say. It's designed by a man. No, it's still very pretty drive even when I'm going the wrong direction. But yeah, so that was kind of it. That's my that's been my MO for the last 16 years, is just live my life. And it's not all about work and money. You need work and money to like live your life. But my life is not my job. My life is, well, my life is my nonprofit now, but my life is not my boss and pleasing my boss. My life is, you know, I don't live to work, I work to live. And you only die once. So you could live a million lives, but you only die once. But that said, I'm going a weird direction. I think I have to get to the 45, that's it. Anyway, but yeah, so I'm just gonna go eat lunch with my friend Colin. It'll be good to see him. I haven't seen him in about a year and a half. And then, yeah, I think I gotta go. I don't know what else I'm doing the rest of the day. I don't know. Might go into Indianapolis, go walk around Circle Center Mall, or go to a museum or something. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to do today. I don't have any equipment with me except a pair of running shoes. So there's really nowhere I want to hike or anything like that. But yeah, and I don't know if anyone else is going to be around. I'm eating barbecue for lunch, so I don't think I want to meet anyone for dinner. So I think I'll be full. But it'll be good. I'll go drive around the college, show you that in the next episode, because this is already 20 minutes long. But yeah, that's kind of my day. So, all right, well, I need to get gas. I don't have time for gas. I'll get gas when I get there. And that's it. So yeah, well, I have a few minutes for gas. Okay. He doesn't mind. It's like meet at 1 p.m. and I lost an hour going into Indiana. We're on East Coast time now. But that said, let me just mosey on up, and thank you for listening. This is very much just my therapy weekend, my morning weekend. So, all right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.